created live on Fireside.
Yeah. Woohoo. I think you're on mute, Amanda.
Yep. Why? I either am kicking myself out. Like, what is my problem?
I don't know. You know what? It's fine. There's a lot of things to press. That's the thing. There's a lot of like buttons and things that have to happen, you know, in order for us to.
Because typically most other people don't seem to have the same problem, though.
Well, it's like a process. It's a process. That's what it comes down to.
Press this, press that, and
press
you know,
this
to
button.
be fair, I kick myself off the stage and out of this room so often that what do I expect?
Well,
So
there's
listen.
like, you know, there's all these like other things now, like, and the simulcasting and making sure that's set up, and then, you know, now we're using the video feature here. It's a process, but it's okay. It's all good. I mean, it's all tools we have now.
It's all tools we have that are so great, but let's be honest. The burden of getting the show rolling is all on you. So, like, I should just be, like, there's no reason I should fail so badly. But, you know, regardless, we're here. We're both talking now, so this is
We are.
good.
Yes.
After a little bit of a break, we took a little week off, but now
Yes.
we're so excited to be back for this episode because who doesn't like Halloween songs?
I know. I'm really pumped because you and I decided about a week or two ago that we're trying to figure out, let's just do one. We'll do one Halloween episode, and we're like, wait a second, why make it one? Like, why don't we just do two? So it'll be part one and part two, like any good Halloween sequel. So we have.
Oh, that was good.
Yes. So we have our back-to-back Halloween sequels here on the next two Mondays, and we're super excited. So this was hard. So today, what we were doing was we picked songs from Halloween movies to give to each other to rate and review. And then next week, we're actually going to do like just Halloween inspired like songs. They don't necessarily have to have been in a movie. They're just
Right.
Halloween songs. This week, though, are specifically songs that were featured in a particular Halloween film. Or
when
movie, or horror movie, actually.
For sure. Well, not really horror movie, if you look at my list.
Well, see, I had, so your pick. So I was gonna throw that out to the audience when we got to your pick, because I was like, I thought about it, and I'm like, is it a Halloween movie? But I think it classifies as one. I think it classifies. I think all your films do classify as Halloween films.
I sure hope so. Otherwise, I'm having a real, like, vivid memory of when we did the Beatles episode.
Right.
And I was like, come to think about this, I don't know if all of my song choices are Beatles songs. Might be just Paul songs. I'm feeling it a little bit like this again. A little uncomfortable. That's okay. You know, I feel like the panic doesn't sink in as much as last time because I still like, they're Halloween songs,
right?
Based on the movies, and I know what movie you're probably talking about. But you know, when I looked at list, it was on there, so I'm gonna take it as a win.
Yeah, I'll take. You know, listen, I think. Well, first of all, let's just say too, as we start the show. So normally we rate these songs on a series of records, 1 to 5 records, but because it's Halloween, so let's see, we could do pumpkins.
Ooh.
So I'm trying to keep the graphics on pumpkins. We could do ghosts.
How about we do ghosts for you and then pumpkins for me, because I feel like our lists are so different this week.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to rate your songs on a scale of 1 to 5 pumpkins, and you'll do mine on a scale of 1 to 5 ghosts.
Absolutely. And normally it's 1 to 5 records, right?
Right.
And we have yet to have any 1 records. No 1 records from the Chris and Amanda show. And we've had plenty. Oh God. You always say that. And
not yet.
Not yet. And I'm just waiting for the day that happens. But you know, when we look at our scale of 1 to 5, 5 being an amazing song. one being an amazing song, or 5 being an amazing song, and 1 being like it just should never have been made. There's
Right.
very few songs out there that really meet that criteria, that fit in that
Mhm.
box. Because we know Amanda likes boxes.
I do know you like those boxes. You like to be in the box.
In the box.
Not necessarily outside the box, because it's safe in the box. It's safe in the box.
Safe in the box. Safe in the box. I love it. So our song choices this week were super fun. I mean, anytime we do a theme, I just really feel like we get to be our personalities show even more. Maybe not our personalities. I think our people know our personalities, but the differences of our personalities really start showing, because we both love Halloween, yet our choices are very, very different.
We love Halloween. We also like our horror movies as well, which is another thing that you and I do. So that's the other part of these next 2 episodes as well. So we will also be sharing our... So normally we do 3 songs each, right? So what we figured we'd do is we would do our top 6 horror films. So we'll do films 6 through 4 of our lists. We'll reveal what those are today. And then next week we'll do our 3 through number 1. So that way, build a little anticipation. So it's like
a little anticipation.
Part 1 and part 2.
I like it. Yeah. I like it.
So Amanda, what songs did I share with you this week, and from what films?
So your songs to me were, your number 1 choice was Dream Warriors by Dokken. Rockin' with Dokken. I was able to remember that and say the name right because of the Rockin' with Dokken. So thank you. Your number 2 song to me was No More Mr. Nice Guy by Megadeth.
Megadeth.
I think I wrote it wrong, or maybe I didn't, because it's spelled wrong on my sheet, but maybe it's right.
No, it's D-E-T-H.
Okay. I mean, I've been known to spell a thing or 2 or a lot wrong. So, and shocker. Yeah. And then Pet Semetary, the Ramones in Pet Semetary.
That's correct. And Dream Warriors is from Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
So sorry, yes. Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yes, absolutely. So your songs from me, and this list was not a shocker at all. I'm like, this is definitely the ultimate Amanda list. But I love it. So you gave me Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. from the film Ghostbusters. Your second song to me was The Great Pumpkin Waltz from It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
You even said that so great.
It's all-time holiday classic. And your third song to me was Deo, the Banana Boat song by Harry Belafonte, featured in the film Beetlejuice. Now, if we say 2 more times, he's going to appear, so we got to be careful.
It's going to be hard in this show since we already used up 1 time.
I know, we might be in trouble. Well, is it that you have to say 3 times in a row, or is it that... So I can't remember the rules. I'm like, is it you have to say it 3 times in a row, or is it if you just start the sequence, does it just count now?
I feel like it's not necessarily buttoned up in the show, in the movie rather, but it always was like said like in like a cadence.
Yeah,
so
Beetlejuice.
3. Well, now you did it.
Oh, now he's coming. Wait, but I did it 4 times, so maybe I canceled that.
Cancel Beetlejuice, please. Cancel Beetlejuice. Oh, some of my favorite Halloween songs. I guess when we were discussing, like, I didn't think we had to do horror songs, so maybe I messed up the assignment.
Well, it wasn't really horror. It was from horror, movies, like Halloween movies.
I thought it was Halloween movies, not horror movies. So I think I switched it up.
Well, I mean, you usually watch horror movies during Halloween.
But I watch Halloween movies during Halloween, though, too.
Yeah, but Ghostbusters isn't necessarily a Halloween movie. It's just a movie.
Oh, that's fair. I think I just went into a happy Halloween mood, and I was like, happy Halloween, and came up with songs. So I feel like maybe we should rename this episode then.
Well, it's part of Halloween, though. Like, it's the Halloween themed episode.
Halloween themed episode. I'll try better next week.
I thought you did okay.
I might have went a little harder for me. Because I do, even though I love happiness in life, right? I gotta say, love a good horror film.
Well, they're fun. They're fun to watch. It's fun to get scared and, jump and, get that anxiety from the movie. Like, I love it. I think it's great. So it's a lot of fun, and I think Halloween's a great time to kind of revisit a lot of those, even the ones that aren't so scary.
Like my list.
Like your list.
All right. So how about I start off with your list and just dive right into Dream
Let's
Warriors
dive in.
by Dokken.
Dream Warriors.
I know, we just made a horror movie so musical. Like, if we can do it, anyone can do it.
That's true. That's true.
So first and foremost, as soon as this started, the first thing I thought was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to watch the music video. Like, I'm hoping the music video does not let me down. It has the potential to be amazing, right?
Yes.
Have you watched, I assume you've watched the music video.
Oh, yes, many times.
So we have to do a music video reaction video on this particular song for sure.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind.
Yes.
Because I'm just so excited. It's just, I hope they don't disappoint me.
Yeah. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be, I think it might be what you think it's going to be.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. So that first and foremost was my very, very first note. So I'm really excited about that. I was so excited that Dokken made another appearance on our show.
I know. I've turned you into a Dokken fan.
A little bit. And I tell you what, I felt like a fan when I could be like, oh, that's rocking with Dokken. Like, I felt so
rocking with
legit.
Dokken.
Because I knew that, Chris. Like, I was on top of the world. There could have been no more songs for this episode. I'd be like, Amanda now knows her stuff. We're done.
Yes. Listen, I mean, just the fact that over the course of 23 episodes, I've been able to turn you into a Dokken fan. And I think, you learned that you liked Kiss and
surprisingly
Ozzy.
Ozzy. We all know I like Ozzy.
Yes. So there's been progress made.
There's lots of progress. So overall, I really liked this song a lot. The Dream Warriors part in it was probably my favorite.
Right.
It just, I loved how they.
Warriors.
Yeah, it was the perfect blend of what I expected from Dokken, but the other words were what I would have expected to see in Nightmare on Elm Street. So it was kind of the perfect combination. And I actually really, really, really like Nightmare on Elm Street.
They're great.
They're so stupid, but they're so great.
The first one too, we just recently watched the first one again. And actually right now, for anybody watching and listening, Netflix does the movies that made us. They do Toys Amazing.
That.
Yes. And they released one this time around of all horror movies, all the classics. So there's Halloween, Friday the 13th, RoboCop, and Nightmare on Elm Street and Aliens. And we just watched the Nightmare on Elm Street one last night.
I just yesterday watched the Halloween one. Fascinating.
Absolutely great. Absolutely great.
$300,000 budget.
Yeah. And even this movie too, the first, the whole story about how they made this movie, they were able to raise just about $1 million to make this. And they were cash strapped. I mean, I don't want to give it all away. Definitely watch the documentary on this because it's amazing how this film even got made. It was so close. It feels like Halloween. You hear these stories about how close it was to not even being made. And then it gets made and then it's becomes a monster hit. And so this movie, very much the same.
And don't you feel like that is the story of a lot of artists where
it is
music artists, they were so close to throwing in a towel and just maybe one person believed in themselves still a little bit more and said, don't give up yet. And then boom, they're these huge superstars. So if you're listening and you're ready to throw in the towel, maybe just hang in there a little bit longer and then you can thank us later.
That's right. That is right. You can thank us later. It's kind of like our show. It's like our show. We're bootstrapped, but one day
exactly. So I have to say that bed scene with Johnny Depp will forever live in my head.
Yes, absolutely.
And I actually just rewatched it because like just the clip of that, I was like Nightmare on Elm Street bed murder or whatever, however I Googled it. And I'm like, I want to like recall that because like now I'm remembering it like, but now I'm a mom. And so I'm going, I think the mom's walked in on that. And so I rewatched it and sure enough, the mom walks in at the end. I was like, could you imagine?
I know, right?
Like the pit of death just sucking your son in with blood spewing.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, oh my gosh. Oh, everyone who dies in those movies are somebody's child. It's so sad now.
Well, they're teenagers.
Always teenagers. Yes. Like
always
kids,
teenagers.
Basically. And so I, of course, in Amanda fashion, grieved a little bit for all these teenagers that have died in these horror movies. So dumb. So dumb.
Oh, Amanda.
I know. I can't help it. So, with all those things being said,
and Dream Warriors, real quick too. Dream Warriors. So this film, that song is from Dream Warriors, which is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And what I really liked about Dream Warriors, if I'm correct, well, first of all, this Patricia Arquette was in this film, and they bring
she
back.
Was in there.
Yeah, and they bring back Heather Langenkamp for this film.
I didn't. Interesting.
Because in this movie, if you remember, I don't know when the last time you saw Dream Warriors was, but this is a few years later, and Heather Langenkamp is in this like it's like a hospital, like basically a mental hospital, and she shows up as one of the patients because she doesn't sleep. And the thing is too, because at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street 1, you're like, oh my God, like the big reveal is that, Freddy just is still alive. So it was like, you see her sort of show back up again, and it's like, oh wow, this is cool. Tying in the franchises.
I know. You know what? I make fun of Halloween movies all the time. But if I was ever asked to act in one, you better believe I'd say yes. They're dumb as can be, but heck yes, I'd be in one.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I'd be like, only if Chris can join me.
I would definitely be in one.
And let's do it.
Especially if I get to like get bloody and like have like I'd like to have like the death scene would be funny.
Would you like to be the murderer or would you like to be the victim?
I think being a victim might be fun because I always find some of like the death scenes to be funny and like, and then you get to be covered in blood or something.
Yeah, you can roll dramatic.
I kind of like the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I can act dramatic.
Yeah, me too.
Nailed it. So if anyone needs extras that get covered with blood, think of Chris and Amanda.
That's right. We're victims for hire. Horror movie victims for hire.
I love
if you really want to give your movie a boost, you can hire Chris and Amanda to be killed off in your film. It will be a good marketing move for your picture.
Good marketing for sure. So with all of those things being said, I can't justify a 5 ghost on this one, but I'm going to give it a 4 ghost review.
Give a 4 ghost review. All right. Okay. That's fair. I mean, I like this song a lot. I mean, it's a classic Dokken song, but like even more so, like it was written for Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Mm-hmm. And I know that Don Dokken was given a rough cut of the movie, so he kind of knew what the movie was about. Mm-hmm. And he wrote the lyrics to basically go along with the version that he saw. And so I thought that was, I just like that. I always love it. And it's funny because it's sort of a similar thing with the Ghostbusters when we get into that. But I don't know. I like this film. I like the song. It's fun. I don't know. It's up there. I agree. I agree with your 4 ghost assessment. I mean, it's not like it's just catchy. Like you just get Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Don't want to sleep no more.
It's so perfect for like you can, if you've watched any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, you just go, oh my gosh, this fits in every single one if they chose. And so I feel like if you have a general idea of the movie, you just go, oh my gosh, I can't not appreciate this song.
Right.
And I've said multiple times in a lot of your song choices, they go, this seems like it would fit into a horror movie. And I think it's that genre. It's the tone, it's the feeling.
I think so.
So yeah. I think it's fantastic. So for Ghost, I don't think that that's a bad thing whatsoever.
I don't think so either. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Nice.
I'll take it.
Nice.
All right. So
Onto my controversial list.
Onto your very controversial list here. Your first song to me was Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. So this song, I mean, at this point, if anybody doesn't know this song, I mean, I can't think of a person that doesn't know this song, even if you've never seen Ghostbusters, which I find that hard to believe at this point in life.
Of all ages.
Of all ages,
right?
Because it really is an all ages film. But this song is truly an iconic movie film. The film is iconic. So a little bit of background. So I thought it'd be interesting to dig up some history about the song. Especially if you've heard it and didn't know too much about it. I mean, some stuff is out there. Some stuff is like, oh yeah, I knew that. But I found some stuff interesting about the song as I was digging it up. So first of all, this was a #1 hit song in the United States.
As it should have been.
And a #2 song in the UK. So it debuted initially at number 68 on the Billboard charts. When it was released June 16th, 1984, it peaked #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on August 11th, 1984. And stayed there for 3 weeks. And the #2 on the UK single chart on September 16th, 1984, also staying there for 3 weeks. So song had some good bank, made some good bank. A little bit about the writing of the song. And this is taken from our good friends over at songfacts.com. The film's director, Ivan Reitman, insisted that the title of the film be in the song, which made Ray Parker Jr. leery of the assignment. Once he started working on it, Parker wrote it in just a few days. So he wrote it. How he describes it is he was watching TV late at night and he saw a cheap commercial for a local service that reminded him that the film had a similar commercial featured for the fictional business. This inspired him to write the song as a pseudo-advertising jingle that the business could have commissioned as a promotion. So the whole, who you're going to call? Ghostbusters. Yeah. He said, he went on to say, Parker had to get pretty creative with this, as writing a song with the word Ghostbusters in it is quite challenging. In an interview with George Cole, author of The Last Miles, the music of Miles Davis, Parker said, it sounds easy now because you've heard the song, but if somebody told you to write a song with the word Ghostbusters in it, it's actually pretty difficult. That was the hard part, getting the title in the song, which I'm also thinking about, like Dream Warriors. I feel like it's the same thing. Agreed. Write a song called Dream Warriors.
Yes.
He also added that he got his girlfriend and her friends to shout the title for the chorus since he didn't want to sing it. At the time, Ray Parker Jr. was a renowned session musician and played most of the instruments on the track. One of the things that I think most people know, but Huey Lewis sued Ray Parker Jr. for plagiarizing the melody of his song, I Want a New Drug, on this track. They eventually settled out of court and agreed not to talk about the case in public, but in 2001, Huey Lewis revealed that Parker paid to settle the suit on an episode of VH1's Behind the Music, and then Ray Parker Jr. then sued Huey Lewis for violating the terms of their agreement.
Oh, so boom ya, that's fantastic.
You sue me, I sue you.
Sue you, yes.
I sue you, sue everybody.
I expect better. Come on.
And then this came out too. I found this interesting. This was something I didn't know. So in 2004, an article in Premiere magazine, the filmmakers admitted to using the song "I Want a New Drug" as temporary background music in many of the scenes.
Stop.
They had also noted that they offered to hire Huey Lewis and the News to write the main theme, but the band declined. The filmmakers then gave the film footage with Lewis's song in the background to Ray Parker Jr. to add him in writing the theme song. Can you believe that? So,
who knew there was so much drama into Ghostbusters?
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is why I love digging in on this. Yeah, all the story about Ghostbusters. So, another cool thing, did not know this. I don't know if you know. I did not know this. Lindsey Buckingham, in his interview on Words and Music, stated that he was originally approached to write the Ghostbusters theme, based on his successful contribution to Harold Ramis's National Lampoon's Holiday Road. He turned down the opportunity as he did not want to be known as a soundtrack artist.
Who cares? Like,
That's what I said.
Make the money.
Yeah, and finally, Ghostbusters was nominated for the best song in 19 at the 1985 Academy Awards, but he lost. They lost. Ghostbusters lost to Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You" from 1984's romantic comedy, The Woman in Red.
Now listen, that's kind of fair because while I love Ghostbusters, it's in a lane, right? It's in a lane. But I Just Called to Say I Love You is, it's so good.
It's really, I don't know about that song. That song. We'll have to save my rating for another day on that song.
I love me some Stevie Wonder, and when he was on the Cosby Show, woo!
I love Stevie Wonder too. He's an amazing. Well, all right. I don't want to make this about Stevie Wonder, so we're gonna table that song for another episode.
I'm gonna make a note, Stevie Wonder.
But let's just say I just called to say I think the Academy was a little off on this. Now I love me some Stevie Wonder. Let's not get crazy here. But I think Ghostbusters versus I Called to Say I Love You. It's Ghostbusters all day. Come on, that definitely should have gotten the Academy Award.
So a couple things about
Ghostbusters.
For me.
What's more iconic, Ghostbusters or I Just Called to Say I Love You?
I think definitely Ghostbusters.
Right. So it should have won the Academy Award.
I Called to Say I Love You.
No.
But I do feel
they
like
shouldn't.
Ghostbusters continued to like gain popularity. It was one of those that just like the fire just kept growing and growing and growing.
Right.
So I think it's iconic now. I can't say that it was iconic in 1984, right?
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, like I don't think it was. I mean, I
think it was.
But like now everyone knows it. Where back
I know,
then,
but it was
like,
a number one hit.
I know, but maybe back then, like both songs were pretty like well known. I'm not trying to like advocate for Stevie Wonder. I'm just
no. I understand what you're saying. I mean, when they were both released, they were hits. But I think as time has gone on, I think one has aged better than the other.
One has aged, and the other is just stayed.
Yeah, the other one's just in a class of its own.
In a respective lane.
Now, did you go to see Ghostbusters in the theater?
Yeah, I did. It was the very first movie I've seen in a theater. First.
That was?
You know what?
That was Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters was the very first movie.
Wow.
Let me ask you, Chris.
Yes.
Obviously, you saw it in the theater too, right?
Yes.
What scene scared you the most?
Oh, I would say the scene that scared me the most was definitely the opening in the library. Yes! When the librarian goes, she changes. I was like, oh my God.
That will forever be ingrained in my mind as the scariest part of that whole movie.
Yeah, it was definitely, that one definitely gives you the biggest jump scare. That movie to me is just, and I know we're half an hour in and we've only gotten to 2 songs as usual, but we're talking about Ghostbusters here. Ghostbusters, it was, and the thing too, right? That was a summer movie. Like that was a summer blockbuster movie that wasn't released during Halloween.
See, I don't have any recollection of that.
Yeah, that was a summertime release, and but it was a hit. It was such a huge hit, and there's so much, and that was just because it was also too, like, think about it, it's a weird movie, right? It's about these guys that go hunting ghosts, and it's really, but you've got that all-star ensemble cast, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, who's like, brilliant. You have Ernie Hudson, who's in it, Annie Potts, and then Sigourney Weaver. I mean, what a great cast, and the script was great. And there's so much, and this show's not about Ghostbusters, but there is a ton of great backstory and documentary, well documented about the creating, the writing of Ghostbusters, the making of Ghostbusters. I actually think it may be in that Movies That Made Us too. Actually, I think it's one of those, not this season, but one of the seasons I think is that they do Ghostbusters. I
need to I started in the newest season, so I need to go back and catch up. So good. So with all of that nostalgia put into place, all of it, the whole package, Chris, how many pumpkins you going to give me for a Ghostbusters?
I am going to give you 5 pumpkins for Ghostbusters, just because, first of all, I love the movie. I still listen to that song. It brings me right back to the movie. It's an iconic song. It's a fun song. It's good. It's a fun song, and the stories behind it make it even better. So yeah, it's a Five Pumpkins song.
I love that, and I used to roller skate to it. Woo!
Oh,
Yeah, gosh, I got so many memories to it. All
Yes.
right, well,
Yeah.
man, oh man, it is 12:33, and we have only done
Yes.
2 songs, which seems to be our natural. We try to keep it an hour or less,
Yes.
but we fail. Anywho,
So before we get on, we're gonna take before we go on to our number 2 and number 3 songs. Do want to just quickly mention one of our sponsors of our show. We have sponsors. One of them is the Coffee with Carrie podcast. So if you are listening to this show and watching the show and you really enjoy our show, well, then you'll absolutely enjoy Coffee with Carrie podcast. It is the perfect blend of interview, game show. It's totally fun. Amanda and I were very fortunate enough to have been the first guest on the Coffee with Carrie podcast. And even since then, the show has just gotten so much better. So if you have a lot of fun listening to us, well, then you're going to have so much more fun listening to Coffee with Carrie for sure. So check that out.
So much fun. And to have had the honor to be the very first guest and not really know like our motive behind it, not knowing what to expect. It just became such a pleasant surprise of so much fun. So episode 1, go check it out. Coffee with Carrie on all of the socials, all of them.
All of them. You can get anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can listen to it, and you can watch it on YouTube and all the places where you watch your videos.
And I tell you, the audio versions are fantastic, but don't forget to also go look at the video versions because the faces that most people make during it, because it's so fantastic, are so worth the additional listen. Just to see the video.
It's like reading the book and watching the movie.
Absolutely. Both are very important.
Absolutely.
So yes, Coffee with Carrie. We love you, Carrie.
We love you. So thank you so much for being a sponsor on the Chris and Amanda show. Check out Coffee with Carrie. All right. That being said, Amanda, my second song to you
was No More Mr. Nice Guy by Megadeth, spelled incorrectly. And then in
or spelled correctly.
Or spelled correctly. One of the two.
Megadeth.
Anywho. And, is it a shocker? I didn't know that Shocker was a video.
It was a movie. Yes, it was a movie.
Idea.
It came out in the 90s and actually starred. Now, Amanda, you were, if I remember correctly, did you watch, were you an X-Files fan?
So, yes and no. I watched enough to know it, just not all of it.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, so Shocker was a 1989 American slasher film written and directed by a director we've already just talked about, Mr. Wes Craven, who was the writer and director of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it starred Mitch Pileggi, Mitch Pileggi, Michael Murphy, and Peter Berg, and it was released on October 27th, 1989.
Man, cutting it real close for Halloween there.
They did. Well, it's good. And it follows the main character. His name is Horace Pinker. He's a serial killer who is sentenced to death and gets electrocuted, but comes back and goes on a killing spree while he goes around getting revenge on everybody who sent him to who sent him to death. Surprise. So the soundtrack was released and Megadeth did the title song, which is No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is an Alice Cooper song originally. So this checks a few boxes. Was featured in a horror film.
Boom.
And it is a cover song.
Ooh, check that out. Check out all those boxes that are getting checked. I never heard the song, never heard of the movie. I like the beat of the song, but not as much as Dream Warriors.
Okay.
I would not skip this. Like, I feel like the lyrics fell a little flat. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And maybe it's because I didn't necessarily have any investment with or attachment to the movie Shocker, right? I think a lot of my love for songs is how it makes me feel. I don't think I know, right? And so because I didn't watch Shocker before, I feel like I couldn't quite like give it extra love because of the nostalgia behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would not skip the song, but I wouldn't listen to it again. Like I wouldn't hit repeat unless it was to do the homework for the show. And then I listened to it several times.
You should listen to the original version, by Alice Cooper.
Okay. Moving forward, I'm not going to probably listen to it anymore, but I will listen to it by Alice Cooper just to get, I'm writing that as a note.
I think just to get the perspective of it, just so you can hear sort of like the 70s version and then the more like metaled up version by Megadeth.
So in this movie, there wasn't necessarily like a place to just put Alice Cooper's version.
Well, it's just, I think they just wanted to do something that was a little bit more updated, a little more modern sounding. Okay. Megadeth was definitely more of a name band at this point. Not that Alice Cooper wasn't. I just think that they wanted to, just do something a little more updated, and so they had Megadeth did this version of the song for the film.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I feel like I'm going to be a little disappointed with the movie, but I feel like I'm going to give it a shot. And honestly, the thing that really got me at the end, and no one should be surprised when they're listening to this, the growl at the end was unnecessary.
You're the
unnecessary.
Best.
It was like, oh, I'm just like getting done with it, and then rawr. I'm like, why do people growl in songs?
Because it's like he's no more a nice guy, and the song's about it. The movie's about a serial killer who comes back to like get revenge, and everybody had sent them to death row.
I don't know a lot of serial killers, but if I did, I feel like they're not going to growl at me.
Well, how do you know? You've never met a serial killer. You have no idea.
That's fine. Well,
you have no idea.
Of.
But he's channeling the anger of Horace Pinker into this song.
He just growls at the end. So Chris, what say you about this song?
Or any song.
Or any of the songs.
Hello, Chris and Amanda.
I always love hearing your voice.
I was wondering, have you talked about the Monster Mash?
That may be next week's show.
Mm-hmm.
That might be on next week's show, because this is part 1 of a part 2 Halloween spooktacular happening on the next 2 Mondays. So this week's songs were these are songs featured in films, horror films or Halloween films, and the next week is going to be Halloween inspired songs.
Ooh, sounds delicious. I can't wait. Do you know the scariest movie I ever saw?
What movie?
My wedding video. Blah. Blah. Thank you very much.
Right now. Oh my gosh.
I'm going back to the audience for the free blood transformation.
I love it. Well, thank you, Chris.
Absolute commercial. That whole thing should have been a commercial. That's fantastic. Chris, thank you for coming up to the stage and always adding the flavor to our show. We appreciate that. Chris, do you have your wedding video still?
I have pieces of it. I don't think it was ever actually really edited. I had my friend shoot some stuff. So
I'm VHS, right?
Probably it's probably something like that.
Got one around here somewhere, but I don't even have a VHS player anymore to watch it. So funny. Okay, so with all of that fun nonsense up into the growl that I just have no understanding for, I can't give it 4 records, Chris. However, I can give it a solid 3.
3 ghosts.
3 ghosts for
all right.
No More Mr. Nice Guy by Megadeth, which was in Shocker.
From Shocker. All right. That's respectable. All right. All right. So your next song to me was the Pumpkin Waltz from
Great Pumpkin.
It's
Waltz.
The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So let's just cut to the chase right now. I'm already giving this 5 pumpkins because first of all, it's Vince Guaraldi. Second of all, it's the Peanuts. I mean, come on. The 3 films, the Halloween, the Thanksgiving, and the Christmas, they are you played me this week because you were like, I'm gonna go all iconic stuff, and there's no way Chris is not gonna like all this iconic stuff, and like you played me, you got me. So this is an iconic. I watch all three of these every single year.
They're so good.
Every year, especially the Great Pumpkin. And the thing too, like you really have to, I don't know, I mean, as you get older, you really start to see, and especially this film, this is a dark film. I mean, this cartoon, this is a dark one out of all of them. And the more, the older you get, the more it really strikes a chord with you as an adult. And I just, Vince Guaraldi's, just his songwriting that he's done for all the Peanuts specials. I mean, it is just it's as iconic as the cartoons themselves, and you can't think about anything else. So when you watch Peanuts or see anything Peanuts related, you automatically hear, especially the famous Linus and Lucy like theme song, instantly. But like they're just so tied together and throughout like history now. I mean, just to think that this was originally released, Amanda, in 1966. So October 27th, 1966 was when this holiday special aired for the first time. And here we are in 2021, and I listened to this. This is me. I listened to this, and I feel like it hasn't aged a bit. I still watch these. I still watch them. I still love them. They're such a huge part of like growing up. In the holidays and tradition and things like that. So I don't really have much more to say when it comes to this. The history of this, I mean, it's just, Vince Guaraldi was he created the sound of Peanuts essentially. The only thing is that I would just say is just, so the whole record, the whole score of this whole thing was performed by Vince Guaraldi. The sextet featured Guaraldi on piano, Monty Budwig on bass, Colin Bailey on drums, John Gray on guitar, Ronald Lang on woodwinds, and Emmanuel Klein on trumpet. It was orchestrated by John Scott Trotter and arranged by Vince Guaraldi and Robert G. Hartley. And it has just gone on into infamy. I feel like this music is immortal. All of it. And so when every time Halloween comes around, I automatically think this. When I see the leaves falling off the trees as they are now, I think of this whole soundtrack, the pumpkin wall. When I go pumpkin picking, this whole soundtrack is playing in my head as I'm doing all Halloween stuff. I'm hanging up decorations in the house and outside the house, and all I'm doing is thinking of the Great Pumpkin Waltz, the whole soundtrack. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So
I feel it all when you're saying all those things, because it's so true. Like it just lives rent free in my head, and it's a good rent free though. Like I'll bring it in. And I actually really like jazz music, like this type of jazz music. I think it's just super easy listening, and if it's just on a channel, like I won't even think to change it. I'll just be completely content just listening to this. So I just love that kind of stuff. And with the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, they really are so sad though in so many ways. Like so sad.
It's amazing. Like I said, going back and rewatching all of these as an adult, as I do every year, and every year they strike a chord with me, because you realize that these kids are really dealing with like complex, like adult feelings and themes, but being all played out as kids, in the way they feel and their inner monologues, and, even from like, just all of it, and how the relationships between Snoopy and Charlie Brown. And I could go on and on and on forever about all these dynamics, but that's not what this show is about today. This show is about music that was featured in Halloween, horror films, all that. And the Great Pumpkin Waltz it's up there. It's great. It's perfect.
I'm so pleased with that.
5
review.
pumpkins.
Thank you.
5 pumpkins.
Sure. This is amazing. Woo!
5 pumpkins.
5 pumpkins all day long. And the Christmas ones end up on our Christmas list.
Ooh.
Maybe 4 Christmas or 5 Christmas trees too, maybe.
Christmas trees, presents.
So your last song to me
Yes.
was Pet Semetary by the Ramones.
I don't want to be buried in a pet
Pet
cemetery. I don't want to live my life again.
Sing it.
Whoa, no.
Sing it, Chris. Listen to you. So I think this is the first show of all of our episodes that 2 previous people have been mentioned again. Because the
That's
Ramones were on another episode as well, correct?
That's correct. And there will be many more Ramones.
So
as
there was
time
a
goes on.
Dokken and a Ramones. And this is exciting for me because when I saw that, I was like, we're getting to the point where we're going to have multiple repeats now because we're so deep into our episode count and it's just super fun. It made me smile going, man, we've been around for quite a while now. Like, this is a big deal.
Yes.
Pet Semetary, great movie.
Awesome
Great
film.
movie.
I really like the first Pet Sematary. In fact, I haven't even watched the remake or the reboot, whatever you want to call it, because I don't need it. I don't need it in my life. Yeah. Obviously, the book. So this is based on a Stephen King book, Pet Sematary, which I highly urge everybody to go read and or listen to the audio version because the book is very scary. And there's a lot of extra things in the book that just didn't make the film. But it's a really creepy book. I mean, you definitely are like, oh, there's some scary stuff. And I feel like that while they omitted some of it from the actual film, I still really love this film. And of course, we've got Mr. Herman Munster himself in this movie, Mr. Frank Wynn, who I love. And I feel like he makes this movie. He absolutely makes the film. Love this movie. Frank Wynn. Rest in peace, Herman Munster. Mm-hmm. But that being said, Pet Sematary, the song, what are your feelings on it, Amanda?
So it's almost, how do I say this? Okay, first I'm going to say that I really like the song. I really, really do. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to throw out 4 records.
Okay, all right.
Solid for Ghost. So I'm going to get that out of the way. I just feel like it's a little chipper for such a terribly dark movie. Yeah, but the
well, I mean, first of all, it's the Ramones. The Ramones are they are very much a verse, chorus, verse band. They're definitely always been on the poppy side. Mm-hmm. The Ramones and AC/DC are Stephen King's 2 favorite bands. So he 100% was I want the Ramones to do.
That's fascinating.
The song for this movie. And because he also had AC/DC do the song for actually almost the whole soundtrack for his other film, Maximum Overdrive. That's all. And that almost made this list too. But for this, he really wanted the Ramones to do the song. And listen, I consider this a 5 Pumpkin song, but this isn't my ratings. But I think that the lyrics, when we were talking about the lyrics, I think they go along so perfect with the movie because it's the film. That is the movie, is the song.
It's so the film. It's so perfect, but it does have that pop tone to it. And so it's almost like, I just killed somebody and I'm going to sing about it, type of thing, And it just was so, I don't know how I don't remember this song, but obviously when Pet Sematary came out, years and years ago, I was much younger, and so I probably just wouldn't have caught on to that song or listened to the music of a horror movie. But this song definitely grew on me. I had never heard it before, but I instantly really, really liked it. So I'm going to say, without a question, more than likely this is probably going to jump up to a 5 Ghost.
Okay.
And that's a little concerning to me because most 5 records I sing out loud or whistle or hum.
Right.
And this means I could very well be in Kroger doing some shopping and break into the tune Pet Sematary, and people are going to stare at me, even though the song is a happier song. They'd be like, you don't want to be buried in a Pet Cemetery? What?
You're going to be like, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. Meanwhile, you're getting the eggs and the milk.
Yes. I would be in my own little world, all happy, and people would be like, oh my gosh, she's losing her mind. She's dark. She's a dark-minded person.
You're like,
really,
what? And you don't listen to Pet Sematary?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
let's not judge people. So
Yeah, let's not get crazy.
So I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't watched Pet Sematary in years, and this made me kind of want to like watch it again. And
it's a good movie.
I said to Owen, I was like, "Oh, let's start watching Halloween movies." He's like, "It's too early," and like, it's already the middle of October, and plus, I listen to Christmas all year round, so what means that I can't watch Halloween movies all year round, which I do.
Yeah, which I do too. So get on it.
Get on it for sure. So Pet Sematary, 4 records or 4 Ghost. I fully expected to go to a 5 Ghost rating, and I'm excited to see what other Ramones songs will end up on your list in the future.
There will be more Ramones songs for sure. For sure.
For sure.
All right, so your final song to me featured in the 1988 film Beetlejuice. I'll say it one more time. He's going to show up right behind you. Beetlejuice. Deo, the Banana Boat song. Originally, well, not originally, but for the version of that song performed by Harry Belafonte. So, some interesting facts about this song, because I never looked into anything about this song before. So there's some really cool history about this song.
Please tell.
So here we go. So obviously, I think everybody pretty much knows about Beetlejuice and the fact that this was in the dinner scene in Beetlejuice. And, and actually the song kind of like weaves its way through. And my wife Rachel and I went to go see the Broadway version of Beetlejuice. And it's very, very much a huge part of the whole Broadway show and all that. So this is a traditional Jamaican song that was sung by dock workers who worked throughout the night loading bananas onto ships. It's daylight and they look forward to the arrival of the tally man who will take the inventory so they can go home. So this song is a traditional song. So wasn't written by Harry Belafonte. This is definitely a traditional song that he's not even the first one to record it, but his version is definitely the most popular. So it was originally first recorded in 1952 by Edric Connor, a musician from Trinidad, who sang it with his band, the Caribbeans, as Day Daylight. The song reemerged in 1956 when folk singer Bob Gibson taught the song to the folk trio, the Tarriers, after hearing it on a trip to Jamaica. Once the Tarriers recorded it, the Calypso craze took off in America, and Belafonte wanted to capitalize on the trend. And according to BMI, the Calypso album was the first to sell over 1 million copies in the United States. This remains the most popular mainstream Calypso song and the song most identified with Belafonte. It was not the first Calypso hit in America, however. That honor goes to the Andrews Sisters, who had a #1 hit in 1945 with Rum and Coca-Cola, a song written and originally recorded by the Trinidadian musician Lord Invader. So just some interesting stuff there. There are 6 artists to hit the U.S. top 40 with the Banana Boat song. In 1957, the Tarriers version was the first to chart at #4, followed by Belafonte, the Fontaine Sisters, Steve Lawrence, and Sarah Vaughan and Stan Freberg, whose comedy version hit #25 on the charts. So that's just a little bit about the song. So I wanted to find out too, like how did the song come about to be featured on Beetlejuice specifically? So there is an excellent interview, which I pulled some stuff from. It's a really cool interview. It's by Pitchfork. They published it a couple of years back, and we'll have to share the link out. We'll put the link in the show notes for anybody that's listening and watching this on the rerun. The link to that article will be in the show notes because I highly recommend, because it's a very cool story. So some quick excerpts from this interview. The early draft of Beetlejuice had no room for Calypso music. The original screenplay was written by late novelist Michael McDowell in 1985 and was substantially darker than what audiences saw. The story essentially began with the gruesome drowning of Adam and Barbara and concluded with Beetlejuice burning repeatedly before exploding into a ball of fire. There was also to be no music in a pivotal dinner scene. McDowell and I had to come up with a dinner party where one of the guests spilled a glass of wine on the ornate rug with a floral design, recalls screenwriter Larry Wilson, who wrote the original story with McDowell. The rug spreaded vines that wrapped all around the guests. A good idea, but it really needed more. So the link between ghosts and music was most likely dreamed up by screenwriter Warren Scarron, who died in 1990. Scarron was brought on to rewrite the screenplay, and that version is much closer to what ultimately was released. In his draft, there is a supernatural sing-along, though the ghosts seem to favor old-school R&B over calypso. Scarron specified the Ink Spots' 1939 hit, If I Didn't Care for the Dinner Party. For the film's finale, he suggested When a Man Loves a Woman, which young Lydia was to sing in a voice so deep and as soulful as Percy Sledge. So, whose idea was it to swap out the vines for the musical number? Well, they can't remember, but they feel like that the was most likely dreamed up. Oh, sorry, I'm missing that note there. There's one more note here. Sorry, I just said that. So here's my note. Sorry. Okay. So here it is. They are thinking that it was actually by a Maureen O'Hara, who actually said she had a love of calypso music. So let me just find that note because I just had it up here and I completely lost it because my notes are all over the place. Okay. So how did they come up with the calypso motif? According to Jeffrey Jones, his co-star Catherine O'Hara suggested calypso music would bring more energy to the scene. Jones says he knew a few calypso songs from his youth and suggested using Yankee Dollar or Rum and Coca-Cola or Deo. When I was growing up, there were these 78 RPM calypso records upstairs where the phonograph was, and I played them. Jones said the producers took Jones's suggestion to heart. They went off to get clearance, and we heard back, and Tim said, okay, Tim Burton, we're going to use Deo. The actor recalls. And so that was it. The producer selected Belafonte's song and the rest is history. So that is how, and it goes on and on and on and on. Like, this is a great article. Like I said, the link will be in the show notes for this episode just so you can check it out. But it's really cool. And I love all the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to like the films and, we talk about all the stuff with the meat, but it's like, the song is so specific to that scene. So I was like, there has to be a reason. How did that come about? So that's just a little bit about how Deo became featured, went on to become featured in Beetlejuice.
I love it. And like, who can't hear that song and go,
I know.
Deo? Like, I mean,
it's great. I mean,
it's so
even when
good.
they play it at events, I mean, you hear it at sporting events, you hear it at weddings, you hear it at birthday. I mean, it's amazing. So, listen, I think this may be the first time in the history of the Chris and Amanda show that I am giving all songs provided by Amanda Sharp 5 ratings. So this is going to have a 5 pumpkins.
I absolutely.
It's a great song.
% did not think that was going to happen.
It's a great song. Pumped. It is such a fun song. It is great. I love it. It's just awesome. You can't help but hear the song and like want to like dance and move around. And then now too, if you've seen Beetlejuice as many times as I had, you can't help but think of like this dinner scene in Beetlejuice, which is a funny scene. And I love Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a great movie.
It is so dark, but such a comedy at the same time.
So good.
It's so good. I just love it. And Winona Ryder, I just really like her. And I'm so glad she's found a new season of acting in Stranger Things.
And Stranger Things. I know, it's great. It's great.
Because I like her. Like, she's just kind of fits in that spot. So 5 records. I love this.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well,
I feel
I
like
agree. You've got, I mean, speechless. You've got 5. You've got 5. This is the first time in the history of the show that I've given you all your song picks
are 5
five records, 5 records, 5 pumpkins, whatever.
And you know what though? I feel like next week the same can go for yours.
Possibly.
Oh.
Although I've been working very hard on this list and there are so many songs. It is so hard to narrow down the different songs that I want to send you because I will guarantee you've heard none of them before.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Maybe actually you'll probably have heard one, but I'm going to give you a different version of it.
Okay. See, the thing for me is, like, I guess, what do we define as Halloween, right? I define Halloween as, like, a scary movie, like a movie meant to be a little scary. Like, not necessarily that it was released, I guess, like, right before Halloween.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just films that you watch during Halloween.
So for our Halloween songs,
they are just songs to me
that we would listen to during Halloween too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Or all year long if you're Chris and I.
Or all year long if you're Chris and Amanda, but yes.
Okay, all right. Just want to be clear so I show up with the right assignment next week.
I think you showed up with the right assignment this week.
I just think I didn't hear the horror part. I thought I heard Halloween, and I guess you went.
Well, we said Halloween horror. We said Halloween horror movies.
Okay. I feel like my list did allow for some flexible, like, extra records, extra pumpkins. Your songs were pretty like solid. They were rock solid. I don't hate any of them.
Yeah, you didn't give me any twos. I didn't get any ones.
No. And
I've still yet to get a one.
Had Megadeth not growled at me, they probably could have got 4.
But what we did not reveal our 6 through 4 horror movie picks.
Do you want to do that now?
Let's do that now.
Do you want to start? I will start with the song choices. So you go ahead and start. Are you just going to go through all of them, or
I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through my number 6. Okay. I'm sorry, my number 6 through 4, and then next week I'll do my 3 through 1, and you will do the same. So my number 6 horror movie that I love watching during Halloween, and I also think is just really great and very well done, is Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. I absolutely love this take on Dracula. I think it's fantastic. I think Gary Oldman as Dracula is great. Also starring Winona Ryder. This is another great example of Keanu Reeves being in a film, but not given a lot of dialogue and letting other great actors act around him to make him be better. Because that's what you have to do with Keanu Reeves. You have to put other good actors around him. I
didn't realize that, but now that you've pointed that out, I can see this.
Surround him with an ensemble cast, and it's great.
That's perfect.
So, but I love the style. I love the look. So that is 100% an always must to. That is a must watch during Halloween specifically. But I also love it. It's one of my top versions of Dracula. My number 5 pick for top horror movies of all time would be Dawn of the Dead. Now, Dawn of the Dead is the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, and I'm not talking about the remake starring Sarah Polley and a bunch of other people. But anyway, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original version from the 70s, Dawn of the Dead, one of the best use of special effects makeup as far as horror and gore goes, and just love it. I love it. The fact they're all trapped in the mall and the whole thing. One of my favorites. There's a Halloween that goes by that I don't watch, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, usually back to back, because I have to do the whole back to back thing. So that is my number 5. My number 4 favorite horror film of all time that I watch mostly during Halloween, but I'll pretty much watch it almost all the time when it's just because I love it so much, is definitely Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th. Love it. It's great. It's just, and it's funny too, because it's not even a one. Jason's not even in that really. So, I don't know. There's so much charm to that film. I really love it. It's fun. They did a screening here a couple of years back at one of the older theaters, and they did a screening of it, and it was awesome watching it in the theater. With an audience like that, it was fun. It was fun, and so I really enjoyed seeing that again, and that is why it is my number 4 favorite horror film of all time. It is great. Definitely a must watch during Halloween.
The Halloween season, for sure.
So that is my number 6 through 4 picks for favorite horror films. Bram Stoker's Dracula was number 6. Number 5 was Dawn of the Dead, and my number 4 was the original Friday the 13th. Amanda Sharp What is your 6 through 4 picks?
Let's keep in mind that one of these, I define Halloween as scary, something that we would watch during Halloween, not just that it came out during Halloween. So I don't know when this movie came out.
None of that. I don't think any of these films I'm talking about came out around Halloween. Actually, maybe
perfect.
Friday the 13th, but
even then, like, there's other Friday the 13th, right? So
of course, yeah, tons.
So my number 6, and this was, I think, probably like the second scary movie I ever watched in my entire life, and I was probably way too young to watch it because there's a lot of psychological crap in it.
Right.
Was It?
Ooh, with the TV version with Tim Curry or the theatrical version?
No,
that came out a few years ago.
No, Stephen King's It.
That's what I'm saying. There was a mini series.
Oh no, like the movie.
Okay, so there was a mini series. I don't know if you knew that. Done in the late 80s, and Tim Curry played Pennywise.
So sorry, I was lumping that as a whole movie, but you're right. That is.
But there's It like that came out like recently.
So not the recent one, the old one. I was forgetting that it was.
Yeah, it was like a 2-part or a 3.
Yes, I totally forgot about that.
John Ritter's in it, and yeah.
Yep. It's and looking back now, like, the ending was so lame.
Yeah, I mean, for TV, made for TV film, it's like, it's like they ran out of money.
Yeah, like I go, that's what everyone was scared of. Like, so, but I was petrified at a young age of it. So that was my number 6. My number 5 is Friday the 13th as well.
It's a good movie.
That is on my list. So it is a good movie. Cheesy, but aren't all horror movies like?
That's the point. They're supposed to be done cheap and cheesy, and you work with what you got.
You work with what you got. And then my number 4, and it's so dumb, but everyone loves it too, Halloween. It's just I just can't even, right? None of them ever make sense. Like, you go, how can you not outrun a person that like just pivots
just
almost?
Walk.
Go slower than a normal walk. So it just, I look and I'm like, these are just so stupid, but they're so iconic and so good. And they're just they're so much fun to watch as an adult now, as opposed to when you were a kid and how scary that they were then. So yeah, the Halloween is my number 4. And then next week's are probably going to be a little bit more Amanda, like that you go, okay, these make sense.
Your next week's picks are going to be a little bit more Amanda. By the way, we watched Halloween Kills over the weekend, and no bueno.
Sorry, when you messaged me that, because Chris and I messaged each other like every day, all day long, mostly. And I was so disappointed for you.
Yeah, we were bummed. We were really bummed. And Rachel did not really like the reboot remake, that much. I was kind of like, okay, there was a few parts I was like, all right, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. Yeah. But this second one, like, I was like, okay, maybe it's just nope.
Just felt flat completely. And I'm so sorry that like both you and Rachel felt that way.
Yeah, because we were kind of excited. We were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this Friday night. We're gonna watch Halloween Kills. This is gonna be great. I mean, it was fun hanging out and watching movies, but yeah, we were both like, oh my God. I mean,
it still was a good date night, but like, it would have been better if the movie was fantastic.
Yeah, it would have been much better if the movie was fantastic. It would have definitely made our day or night if it was. I
don't want to say I love that because I don't like that, but like, in no disrespect to the people, but sometimes I feel like they remake just off of the name and the content becomes secondary, and the content still is important.
Yep, it is. It very much is.
I don't know what commercials it is, but I believe there's some sort of insurance commercials where they're like making fun of horror movies. And she's like, why don't we just go in the running car? And he's like, oh yeah, that's a terrible idea. Let's go into the barn behind all the chainsaws. And she's like, okay. Like, so that's the horror movies that I like to watch. They're
right. That's stupid, what you like.
They're silly. They're entertaining.
Well, I am anxious to hear what your top 3 list is for next week.
Top 3 list. And Chris, it's 112. How do we do this?
Every week we've been going over. But you know what? We have so much fun. I have so much fun doing this show. So we're so glad everybody is hanging in there with us. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for listening and watching to the replay of this, wherever you're doing that. We are available right here on Fireside. As always, you can always go back and listen to every single episode right here on Fireside and watch them as well. Now that we're doing the video portion of it, you can watch them over on YouTube, and you could also listen to us, listen to replays on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get podcasts.
All the places. We continue to grow, mostly because of everyone's support and our love for the show. So just thank you, everyone who listens and tunes in every week. It means so much to us.
It 100% does. Absolutely. And if you want to further support the show, we do have that handy dandy buy me a coffee link in right here on Fireside. If you click it, you can feel free to buy us a coffee, or you can click the link in our show notes and do the same thing as well. We also have a merch store where we have all kinds of really cool Chris and Amanda Show merch. And all of it goes to help and to support the show, because we do have some bills to pay around here. And so every little bit helps for sure. Amanda and I absolutely love doing the show, but there are some expenses that come with doing the show. So any little bit of support is always welcome and very, very appreciated. So thank you all so much for listening and supporting the Chris and Amanda Show. Please do all the things, as Amanda said: like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends, and join us here next week live on Fireside for part 2 of our Halloween spooktacular extravaganza, where
much fun.
We will be sharing Halloween inspired songs with each other next week.
So pumped. It's gonna be fun.
So pumped. Yep.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Bye everyone.